Parashat Teitzei. Parashat Teitzei is a very unique parasha in Sefer Dvarim, the book of Deuteronomy. Not only because it's my bar mitzvah parasha, but also because other reasons. Sefer Dvarim, as we know, was said completely when Bnei Israel were about to enter the land. So, while the other parashiot, the other portions of the Torah that we read before, Moshe reminds the Israelites the great events that happened since they became a nation, and he gives them all the laws and all the ways to do things in all kind of practical life and main subject in life. For example, the place of the temple, the sacrificial practices that they have to do, and so on and so forth, the holidays, different governmental institutions that they have, judges, kings, prophets, etc., etc., etc. In this week's parasha, it becomes very specific. He's really pinpointing. And the Torah, in a way, enters into the walls of the Jewish home. If before we spoke about God and the korbanot and the temple and the nation and this and this and that, now we're entering the domain of the individual. We're entering the home itself. And it deals about people and families. You have children? Have some, it's very good. Parashat Teitzei is always read in Chodesh Elul, and of course it is the job, so-called, of Chodesh Elul is really to prepare us for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And that's to give you also an indication for life. If you want something, you don't just come in and say, okay, here I am. You need to practice at least a month beforehand. And as a matter of fact, if you want me to really be honest with you, the major cleanup for your soul for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur starts in Pesach. When you look for the chametz, inside, you're also looking for the chametz inside of you. So it really starts from then. This is a month in which we go to war, right? Because it says Ki tetzei milchama. If you go to a war on your enemy. And God will make you win, victorious in this battle, and you will capture your captives, whatever that means. In other words, the war in which we are dealing here, in this parasha and in this month, is basically a war about identity, about really who we are and what we are all about. The month of Elul is the month of the tshuva, of repentance, in which we not only need to repent and come back to Hashem, we really need to come back to really who we are, our true self of really who we are, to the real self of us. All year long we put a whole facade, we play a whole role in the movie. This is the time to get back to yourself, to really connect yourself or reconnect yourself to your spirit, to your neshama, and to really abandon that fake sense of self that we all so conveniently adapt to ourselves. This month and the 10 days of tshuva, of repentance that comes after that, give us a special power, and thus together with that a special ability that's supposed to help us in our spiritual journey throughout the year and the months of darkness that come right after that into the winter. All this, the Jewish year and the holidays and whatever comes around it is all very well planned in terms of your spiritual journey. It's not just about harvesting and plowing your field and so on and so forth. The book Ohev Israel, Harav Avraham Yehoshua Heschel, who was also known as the Rebbe Mi Opta or the Opta Rav, wants to really be particular about this matter. And he says the Torah does not say that we will force to fight. We're not going to be forced to fight, but rather the real effort is by declaring war on the enemy. I cannot tell you, when I was writing this and going over it and reading it again and again, how I felt that this is so appropriate to our time in what happens in Israel and in the world, in the world around us. Let me just have some water. Amen. You know, if we declare war on Hezbollah and just go out to war and finish with this, I don't know if you know, there were like a major bombardment over Tzfat. They sent 20 rockets to a city. Now, I don't think you heard this in the news, and I don't think you're going to hear it in the news.
I heard that.
And they're going to put it like 2 seconds and then it's...
It's not Tel Aviv.
What?
It's not Tel Aviv.
Yeah, it's not, not only that it's not Tel Aviv, it's like, who cares? Right? But we have to declare war on the enemy. And what is the enemy or our spiritual enemy? Our spiritual enemy, and guys, you got to be very careful because this is what we are conditioned to fall into. It's despair, yeush, pain, anger, feeling hopeless, you know, all these things that hey Yoshua, all these things that we usually go, being pessimistic, seeing no future, and so on. The true enemy really dwells inside of us. And the basic really of Kabbalah, with Kabbalah or learning Kabbalah, is really to be able to identify that enemy and to act upon it, right? And to act on, to identify also those feelings and this emotion, those negative feelings and emotions that come with that. This is the representative of your enemy. And to really exchange them and substitute them with light, to separate the darkness into light. And again, if we're going to look at the Jewish calendar, at the darkest months of the year, which really comes around Kislev, which is about December and so on and so forth, sometimes January, these are the shortest days of the year, that is where we're supposed to bring the light, and that's Hanukkah. And of course, the light is the light of Torah that we bring to our lives. So everything is there. You just, all the information is out there. You just need to actually, I wouldn't even say, you know, learn it. Just think about it, and the answers will come to you yourselves. And how do we substitute them with light? If we are creating, if we are doing things, we are always involved in action, by building things, by having hope, by having enlightenment, by becoming positive. And this is all for us to be able to fulfill our purpose in this world, to really be, in a way, creators. And what we create in this world, a better reality, a better world. And our spiritual work, believe it or not, and maybe we'll talk about it at the end, really manifests the way the world is. The way we are will reflect on how the world is. In other words, I expect you here to assume responsibility. So, as soon as we're going to declare a war, look what happens. It doesn't say, the Pasuk does not say, Ki tetzei lamilchama al oivecha, that you're going to declare war on your enemy, and then you're going to fight, and then Hashem is going to help you. No, as soon as you declare the war, it's already yours. You already won it. You already won the battle. This is an amazing concept. Fulfilling the statement of Chazal that tells us, you want to purify yourself, they're going to open the door for you. You want to have an heavenly intervention in your life, seek to become pure. Seek to become better. That's it. You don't have to roll in snow and fast for 40 days. We don't do that stuff. So, and as soon as you want this, the light is already going to find its way to penetrate inside, and together with the light that will come into your life, there's going to be mazal, there's going to be bracha. Mazal and bracha are there all the time. The fact is, it's so dark you can't see it. It's there all the time. The light comes out. Says, oh my goodness, look at this. Wow, I'm blessed. But when you are in a place of constriction and darkness, you can't see what's ahead of you. You're actually going to stumble upon your luck. You're going to stumble upon your bracha. You're going to think there are obstacles in your way, not realizing it's a gift. However, the rest of the pasuk also is peculiar. It says, "Veshavita shivyo." Veshavita shivyo. What does it mean, shavita? Veshavita, and you took POWs. Velakachta kol nefesh, and so on and so forth. All right? If anything, you should say, Veshavita mimeno shevi, and you capture your POWs, whatever. But Chazal tells us here that this has come to teach us that we have to return. Lehashiv is also to return, not only to capture. Lehashiv to ourselves, to return to ourselves the powers and the abilities that our enemy took away from us earlier. When we were young, when you were young, and your heart was an open book, you used to say, live and let live. But this ever-changing world in which we live in, right? And what comes right after that? Live and let die. You don't know the song, Live and Let Die? Who sings that? Paul McCartney sings it from a James Bond movie, and it's really a fantastic version of Guns N' Roses that they sing that Live and Let Die. So we used to be very optimistic. As a kid, you're optimistic. If a kid is depressed, take him to a shrink, please. It's not normal for a kid to be depressed. Or at least bring him to Zalman. However, what happened to this optimism? Slowly, something had happened to us, and we became not optimistic. Pay attention that together with our increase in materialistic, desires, we became less optimistic. It goes hand in hand. It goes hand in hand. So, and that's why it's very important to remember that usually darkness, and the greatest darkness and feeling of despair is really before dawn. And right before the victory. And the more we fight, the greater the effort, the greater sign is the victory is around the corner. If right now, because of the events that happened after October 7th, which were horrific and horrendous, and the world is so dark around us, that doesn't even acknowledge that. And how dare whoever is that lady who runs for presidency, dare to mention in the same breath the victims and the killers. That seems to be darkness. Rabotai, victory is around the corner. Victory is around the corner. Don't be afraid. Don't give up. They want you to give up. They want you not to believe in Hashem. They want you not to have hope. You give him the finger and says, no, I believe in God and I know there is hope and I'm going to bring light into this world. And light is contagious. Just as much as darkness. As a matter of fact, probably more. Guys, internalize that. A parasha ends with maybe one of the most important topics in the Torah. It's the mitzvah, Zechor asher asa lecha Amalek. Remember what Amalek did to you. The Torah reminds us to be careful and not to fall into the sin of arrogance and being pompous. Arrogance is very bad. Because even if you are in great dedication in Avodat HaBoreh, by worshiping Hashem, you're great in that, still you could fall. Still you could stumble. And still you can fall into the hands of Amalek, which of course we all know that Amalek in numerical value in Hebrew, in numerical Gematria in Hebrew could serve as, and I take it on the most simple, basic way, I think it's the better. I don't play too much games with it. Where everybody knows the numerical value of Amalek which is 240, is the same numerical value of Safek, which is a doubt. How does Amalek win you? Very simple. Puts doubts in your head. That's why you got to be careful you could learn with the biggest Talmid Chacham. If he puts doubts in your head about Emunah, stay away from him. Stay away from anybody who puts doubts in you, in your abilities, in your capabilities, in the way you worship Hashem, in your Judaism. That's what Amalek does. Amalek doesn't go to the strong ones. He goes to the ones who are weak and weary, and he puts doubts in them, and they bring it home to the families. And that's how he starts. So we need to remember that, right? In other words, maybe the good would win, but maybe it won't. That's already not good. At the end of the day, once you declare war, God will give it in your hand. It's going to make you win. And the way to remember and to remind people of that is really to live our lives in a way that which each and every one of us dismantles Amalek inside of us in every action. In other words, that's what the Mesilat Yesharim writes, that every action that you do has to be directed with full intent to Hashem. You have no doubt what you're doing. And if you have a doubt, don't do it. Better off you don't do something than you do something that is a safek. If you have a safek, if there is a doubt in your action, guess what? Your action is not going to be successful because the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu cannot penetrate inside. You got to be sure of what you're doing. You got to be very careful, but you got to be sure of what you're doing. And this is how you basically deal with it. Thoughts and behavior, right, that counts, that is well calculated and is based on emunah, based on faith, based on trust in Hashem. If we're going to do so, believe me, we could win. If you remember, Amalek only attacked the Jews after the place that's called Refidim. Now, if you're that's another thing that is beautiful in Hebrew. You could take words and put them apart, and you get a lot of meanings from it. That's like hidden parts of the Torah. Refidim is spelled Resh Pei Yud Daled Yud Mem, and Chachamim says Refidim otiyot refei yadayim, weak hands. After they became weak, oh my God, we're going already in the desert. What's going to be? How long is it going to take? Bam! Amalek comes. Amalek always comes out of nowhere. Amalek has no place. Amalek has no country. Amalek comes when you are weak, when you have doubts. Amalek came to Israel when the Jews had doubts if the land is really theirs. Or maybe you should give it. I want to see all those bright lights that sit in Tel Aviv over there, right, in Tel Aviv state. If I'm going to come and tell them, you know what, I think I own your living room. How about that? You give it to me. Would they give you your living room? No, why do I want to give you Yerushalayim? When you have no doubt that it's yours, nobody will ask what it's yours. Mikasa, mi castle. But you have doubts, it will be taken away from you. As soon as you're going to stop fighting, as soon as you're going to stop trying, as soon as you're not sure, you should know Amalek is right there for you. He's coming to get you. Amalek is coming to get you. Wars are one of the things, unfortunately, that Am Yisrael is unfortunately used to from the time they became a nation. The whole history of the Jews is full of wars and persecutions and so on and so forth. You know, as we said, they just came out of Mitzrayim, they just became a nation. Amalek came and attacked them in the desert. And unfortunately, from that point on, wars is something that we share throughout the generations from that point on. However, we know that in every action in the world, there is external manifestation and internal manifestation. The Kabbalah teaches us that the wars against a physical enemy are always an expression for a struggle or war that happens internally inside your neshama, inside each and every one of us as well. As individual people that form that big body that's called Am Yisrael. Look at what happened in Israel before October 7th. How the country was divided. I don't think I need to give you so many. I can point out on each and every word another example that happened, but that's exactly what happened there. It says in the Zohar that some of the Chachamim, the Mekubalim of the Zohar, were walking on the way, and they came across some heroes. They came back from war, so they asked them, "Where are you coming? Where are you coming from?" So they answered, "We came from the Great War." So the rabbis laughed at them, and it says the real world, the real war, the real great war, did not even start yet. Your war is really internal. The war is ahead of you, and the war that we are all facing, the real war, is to each and every one of us when you have in your house, in your pnimiut, in your internal being of who you are, in your soul. So in a way, until we're going to fight that fight, until we're going to declare war even on that, our external enemies are going to fight us generation after generation. If Am Yisrael was divided, Am Yisrael would never have to fight. Why do you think the war of October right now is lasting for almost a year? It's very simple. 1967, there were greater armies that attacked Israel. Israel whipped them out. 6 days. Whipped them out. Able to conquer Sinai, able to retrieve the Jewish homeland in Judea and Samaria, took the Golan. And why? Because they were all united. 1973, less united. But then there was a war, and they all united. There were armies from Morocco to Libya, to Tunisia, to Egypt, and Jordan, and you name it, Iraq. Israel made it all the way 34 kilometers from Damascus and 101 kilometers from Cairo. The Arabs call it a win. The Jews call it a loss. The Jews are stupid. 101 kilometers from Cairo they were. 34 kilometers. 34 kilometers is about, say, 20 miles from Damascus. Why? They're united. From that point on, Am Yisrael, the state of Israel, hasn't won any war. You know why? Because the friction has grown bigger and bigger and bigger. This thing with Gaza should have lasted 3 days. Why is it lasting a year? Because in the war, people go out and demonstrate. That's it. And the rest of us here in America don't really care. They just go about our own business. If you're going to learn the nice way, you're going to learn it the hard way. You gotta understand that. It's not their enemies in Israel. It's our enemies. The war is about the existence of the Jewish people. Yes, here too. Here too. You think if somebody's going to come here and is going to do a street takeover with some hoodlums are going to come with the cars and do a street takeover, the police is going to come and do something for them? Good luck. Good luck. They're going to do donuts over there. They're going to make donuts out of you. Good luck. It's not going to happen. And why? Because you allowed it to happen. Why? Because you have doubts. Because we are not united. And it starts with you and me, goes to our rabbis, goes to our politicians, goes to everybody who is a part of the Jewish nation. We all need to put shoulder to shoulder. It doesn't make a difference if the guy next to you is the chief rabbi and the guy next to you is a guy that doesn't even know how to read. If they're both Jewish, that's what it is. That's what we need. We need that unity. And we need also this internal unity inside of each and every one of us. And, and this is not something that we're not going to, if not, we're not going to understand. It's going to keep on lasting. But let me ask you a question. When does this war with the Yetzer Hara exactly starts? When does this thing happen? So in Parashat Lech Lecha, in Sefer Bereshit. Wow, very good, very good. It says about a great war between the 5 kings of the time to the 4 kings in the area of the Dead Sea in what is today Israel. And it says over there, pay attention, 12 שנה עבדו את קדר לעומר ו13 שנה מרדו וב14 שנה בא קדר לעומר והמלכים אשר איתו ויכו את הרפאים בעשתורנות קרניים. So and the 12th year, for 12 years they worship, they serve this king, his name is Kedar Laomer, and in 13th year they rebelled, and in the 14th year Kedar Laomer and the rest of the kings came for a war. Okay, what has to do with anything? Says Rabbi Yaakov Abu Chatzera alav shalom in Sefer Pituchei Chotam the following: there is a great hint here. And by the way, Rabbatai, his hint is fantastic. But I'm going to tell you something. I think, if you ask my opinion, I'm not claiming to be an expert in anything. But I do believe that the real reason that Freudian psychology is not popular today is based on its roots in Jewish faith and its connection to Jewish concepts. And I'll explain to you now what the Rav Abu Chatzera says. He says the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, is with the man from the day he was born, from us, from the day we were born. As it says in Sefer Bereshit, Perek. You don't know what I'm saying, so how do you know where it is? No, לפתח חטאת רובץ. It's in Bereshit Dalet, verse Zayin. לפתח to the opening חטאת, which is a korban, right? When we bring חטאת, when we sin, that's going to be there, right? So, and this is the opening in which a man comes to this world. The Yetzer Tov comes to a person, receives it only when he reaches 13, or a girl 12, because she is an extra. Women are more gifted than men, so they get this extra gift at the age of 12. Males get it with, with the XY chromosome, right? Get it at the age of 13. Until that point, a person does not have the ability to distinguish between good and bad. And he's all within the captivity of the Yetzer Hara. That's why the Yetzer Hara doesn't deal with him. Why? Because he already has him. He already has him. He doesn't have to do anything. After this point, at the age of 13, when the Yetzer Tov joins the picture here, then comes the Yetzer Hara with all his powers. And that's the rebellion stages. That's what we call teenagers. The rebellion stages of the kid and all this temptation, and all of a sudden you discover Eve and whatever else is out there in the world at the age of 13. What happened until now? Well, until now you didn't have Yetzer Tov. Now you have Yetzer Tov. Now is a battle. And in order to show its machoism, it pushes, and to push Yetzer Hara to the side, right? And for him also to prevent, creates a lot of noise and a lot of chatter, so you would not hear the new voice that comes inside of you. And that's why he says, 12 shana avdu et Kedar Laomer. They worship Kedar Laomer, or serve Kedar Laomer for 12 years. Okay, what does Kedar Laomer has in it? Now, if you spell Kedar Laomer with a vav, going back to Gematria, we get, I think, 576. Or 570 something. Yes. And 570. And the same Gematria as we're going to get, Yetzer Hara. Kedar Laomer, the same Gematria, Yetzer Hara. It's the same thing. That's what he says. In the first 12 years of a person, all his limbs are under the control of the Yetzer Hara. That's why in 13 years old, when you acquire some kind of a intellect, it says, V'shlosha shana maradu. Then you're supposed to rebel, not against everybody else, against the Yetzer Hara that you were enslaved, that you were encamped, that you were held as a prisoner by. By the way, I want to tell you something. When they demonstrated in Israel, I was thinking about this. When they demonstrated in Israel, they said, let the captives, set the captives free, right? Instead of saying that, they should say, let my people go. Because when you say release the captives, that puts pressure on the Israelis only.
Bring them home.
When you say, bring them home. You bring them home. Now, yes, bring them home. That's what they say. Bring them home. That puts pressure only on Israel. By the Israelis themselves. Instead of saying, let my people go, it should put pressure on Hamas as well. How these politicians are now embarrassed to only press Israel and to tell the Hamas, okay, whatever you want. How they're not embarrassed. And you want me to vote for you? I would rather vote for an elephant than to vote for you. So, and then in Arba'asar, in the 14th year, Bakadar Laomer and the king is with him, and the Torah tells us exactly how the Yetzer Hara fights with us, and so on and so forth. From this concept that he's bringing to us, there is a very clear picture with whom and how the struggle or the fight of every person in this world come, and how it starts and who you're fighting against, and how this war is being fought. So look, if you want to know how to deal with this, look at this in those psukim, and look at it from a psychological point of view, not from a military point of view, even though you can learn tremendously from that as well. The Netivot Shalom says, Ki Teitzei, hints us on the way that we should go to war. And what does it mean? That a person that goes to war has to come out from himself completely. Ki Teitzei. What Teitzei? Where I'm going where? Ki telech lamilchama. Now, ki Teitzei, telech, you should go. Whether you come out. I'm coming out. I'm coming out of where? The closet, where I'm coming out from. Ki Teitzei. Get out of yourself. He says something that's fantastic here. It's really fantastic. You need to get out and leave your whole reality of who you are, to release yourself from all your natural habits that you have, that you would acquire, so-called natural, that you would acquired, and all the characteristics of your soul. If you are weak, I'm a shy guy, I'm not a shy guy, I'm a talker, I'm not a talker, and so on and so forth. Because it is impossible for you to overcome the Yetzer Hara inside the reality in which you are at. You need to come out of this reality. You need to bring yourself outside of this realm. Play a game that the Yetzer Hara doesn't know how to deal, because he knows only how to deal with this. You bring yourself out of there. Bring yourself from all those things that really anchor you down. But the Torah teaches us, right, to come out. And that's what the Rambam writes in Halachot Melachim. He says the following. Rabotai, what the Rambam is saying, wow. And I'm quoting, Hayotze la milchama, he who goes out to war, yasim nafsho bekapo, put your soul in your hand. In other words, throw yourself in. Velo yireh, don't be afraid. Velo yefached, and don't tremble. Velo yachshov, and don't think. Lo beishto, velo bebanav. Don't think about your wife. Don't think about your kids. Erase their memory from your heart. And clear everything inside of you and go out to war. I'm going to tell you something. There were people, religious and non-religious people, on October 7th, and from that point on, they did exactly what the Rambam says. They didn't care about their wives. They didn't care about the family. They care about what needs to be done. It needs to save Jews. Need to fight for the Jews. And they went in. Some of them, unfortunately, lost their lives. A lot of them. But that's what the Rambam tells you to do. You can't come with your baggage to war. You can't come with your trolley to go to war. Hello? Where do we fight here? You don't do that. You get your bug-out bag and you run. You go. And that will be the same thing when, if there is doom and gloom, you're going to take your bug-out bag and you go. You're going to leave your house here and all your belongings here and all the kachkas that you're collecting and all the crystals and all the paintings and all the stuff that you have, and you're going to leave it all behind. You're going to go save yourself. In this case, you're going to go for war. You're expected to do that. And that's why the Torah tells us, Mi ha'isha yarech v'rach halevav. Who is the person who is yareh, who is a fearful, v'rach halevav, is soft heart? Yalla, we don't need you here among us. Mi ha'isha asher bana bayit v'lo chanacho. Who built a house? Mi ha'isha asher nasa isha. You married a woman, go. That's exactly what the Rambam is saying. We don't need people like this around you. In order to go to war, we need to have people who are emptied themselves out for the cause. They don't come in saving the troops and saying, excuse me, can you send a selfie? I need to put it on my Instagram. We don't do that. And why are we losing the war? Because we are not willing to dedicate a full heart to a Jewish collective effort. And it's time to stop with it. Stop with the selfishness that we all doing. And in order to win, Rabotai, in order to win, you need to be moser nefesh, hand over your soul, hand over your life, hand over yourself with all these desires, with everything that you're dragging with you in the past and so on and so forth. Because everything that you had beforehand is going to be what anchors you and create tremendous drag on you, and you're not going to be able to win the war. You need to be swift and fast and deadly, deliver a punch, and after that another punch and another one to win the war. You can say, excuse me, can I call my rabbi now? I need to see what exactly I need to do. That's not going to happen. You go to a war all in. And there were people like this again. You know, unfortunately, that family, who knows what happens with them. I hope they're okay. The father of the Bibis family, the redhead kids, they were kidnapped. Babies! They were kidnapped. Where is Kamala Shmeris? You know? What happened with those kids? The father left the kids and the wife in the secure room and went to fight with the Hamasnikim. There was like 20 of them. He fought with them. They injured him. They dragged him, and then they took his wife and family. But he didn't think about himself. And all the 6, poor people who just murder in captivity, before they died, they fought. Don't let anybody tell you Jews are cowards. Whoever tells you that wants you to lose. Jews are brave. And you need to get back to that mode. But you can be brave and be selfish. Brave people are selfless people who are willing to lay on the wire for other people to jump over. These are the people, and there were people like this in October 7th that actually fell on grenades to save people. They didn't care about themselves. What do you care about? Your stakes? What do we care about? What are we willing to give up? And that's exactly the safest and fastest way to reach victory. That's what the Netivot Shalom says. Parashat Teitzei, Rabotai, holds within itself the secret for true redemption, the Geulah, the secret of coming of Mashiach, where humankind would really stop to believe in bad and disparity. Right? When people are going to start believing in the good, people, and by the way, that's why we always fed bad news. Just to control us, to give up hope. If we're going to believe in good and gain hope and bring light by doing good, and we're going to continue do good things until good will become a reality. If you want to know what redemption is, redemption, Geulah, is when good becomes a reality. And there are people there, and there are forces there that want to make sure that bad is going to be a reality so they could control you. We need to make sure that good is a reality. And when that will happen, that will be the end of pain, of suffering, and suffering of all humanity. So the key to redemption, the key for good humanity, starts with us. So Rabotai, be brave. Be brave. Roll your sleeves. Go to war. Bring back the captives. And take no prisoners. Shabbat Shalom.